Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now, Bitcoin has been off to an absolute tear to kick off 2023. Really, a lot of the crypto-related assets are performing extremely well, including the crypto miners or the Bitcoin miners. And as a result, I wanted to introduce you guys to a brand new microcap miner based here in Canada. The name is DMG Blockchain Solutions, and this company actually came to me in the form of a subscriber request. Now, there's a lot to unpack with this stock. We're going to go through it in today's presentation. But before we do, please take a second, hit the like button, you guys. It's a big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below if you're currently holding shares of DMG, how you think they stack up to some of the other miners like Hut 8 and Bitfarms that we talk about on the channel regularly, and what you thought about their December and 2022 production results. Now, with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we're going to be covering DMG Blockchain Solutions. This was a subscriber request. I was actually chatting with one of the subscribers over the weekend about small cap crypto companies, and they put this one on my radar. So shout out for doing that. As you can see here, trades at 32 cents Canadian. It was up about 7% on Friday's session. So this is as of January 20th. I wanted to keep this up to show you guys we've now cracked that $30,000 Canadian Bitcoin price, which is phenomenal, about $23,000 US per Bitcoin, really starting to see some positive momentum in the crypto market overall. And as a result, a lot of the companies that are involved in this space, specifically the Bitcoin miners, have benefited in a huge way over the last couple of weeks, as you can see on the 6-month chart here with DMGI on the Toronto Venture Exchange. Now, it was only a couple of weeks ago, actually back at the end of December, where DMG blockchain was flirting with 10-cent lows. It closed out at 13 cents on December 30th. And essentially has 3x'd over the last couple of weeks, hitting a high of 35 cents on January 16th. So definitely starting to grab some attention. However, unlike some of the bigger miners we cover on the channel, DMG Blockchain Solutions is relatively unknown. It's a small scale miner based here in Canada, actually in Christina Lake, as we're going to look at in today's presentation. And they've got a lot going on in terms of diversified focus and revenue streams moving into the next couple of years. Now, in terms of market cap and based on the close we observed on Friday, you're looking in the neighborhood of about $50 million Canadian, so really allowing you to get in at the ground floor despite this run up we've seen over the last couple of weeks. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with DMG, if we jump over to the corporate website, I'll leave a link in the video description below. You can see this is a vertically integrated blockchain and cryptocurrency focused company. DMG is a publicly traded and vertically integrated company that manages, operates, develops end-to-end digital solutions to monetize the blockchain ecosystem. And we're going to talk about some of these different facets a little bit later in the presentation. Now, DMG, in terms of their corporate structure, is really organized into two key components, as you can see in the investor presentation here, focused really on their core crypto infrastructure and what they call their core plus, which really involves more software and service alternatives. So as you can see under the core division, this is going to derive revenue from Bitcoin mining and block rewards and transaction fees. So very similar to what we see with Hive, Hut 8, Riot, Marathon. Their Core Plus division drives recurring revenue streams through their Helm mine management software, their pool fees, their Petra-enabled Bitcoin transaction revenue, and other Blocksteer-enabled services. And we're going to talk about what all that means in a second here, but the key is diversified revenue. And again, that word I love to see, which is recurring revenue that we see with Hut 8 Mining and their high-performance computing data center division. So in the intro, when I said this is a small scale diversified company, that's really what I meant. They're not focused exclusively on the crypto or blockchain mining, but rather focused on a number of things that really support the blockchain ecosystem. Now, this slide here really extends on that point. So under their core division, you can see their data center focused on green or renewable mining. This is based in Christina Lake, BC, so very close to Kelowna, where they actually have the data centers for Hut 8 mining. And then their core plus division, you can see the various different activity there, the mining pools, the clean blocks, the exchanges, the wallets. So really a lot of that supporting infrastructure that helps the overall blockchain ecosystem grow and progress. Now we're going to start off by examining their core division here. So this is their data center in Christina Lake. You can see very close to the US border in southern BC. There's Kelowna to the top left there. It's a 60 megawatt operation, so relatively small scale compared to some of the other facilities we've reviewed on the channel. They've got 85 megawatts that are privately owned through a substation that's connected to the main transmission line at this location. So the ability to scale up by about 25 megawatts if and when DMG deems appropriate. It's a 27,000 square foot building on a 33 acre lot, so a lot of room to really expand and grow here. About 500 kilometers from Vancouver, BC, so a major international hub, and 180 kilometers from Spokane, Washington, for those of you who are watching from the United States. Now, as you can imagine, based on the size and megawatts of this location, it is a much smaller operation than some of the other companies, and they're currently sitting at about 0.9 exahash or just below 1 exahash in terms of their Q4 2022 exit rate. Now, they do have aggressive growth plans throughout 2023 and 2024, really contingent on installing new miners and new immersive cooling technology, and the goal here is to get the facility up to 2 exahash per second, essentially doubling the capacity at this location. And we're going to talk about some of the timelines associated with this growth a little bit later as we move into some of the more recent news that's come out from DMG. Now, one thing to be aware of here, you guys, if you're looking to make an investment in some of these microcap companies, there are economies of scale as it relates to Bitcoin mining, especially the pool involvement, and the mining activity does become more efficient with scale or size. However, you are able to get in at the ground floor at some of these microcaps like DMG blockchain, and the benefit of doing that is the greater investment community really hasn't picked up or even knows about a lot of these companies' operations. So you're really getting in before a lot of the big attention or big investors find out about these organizations, and that can lead to aggressive growth like we've seen over the last month with a nearly 3x in the share price on this company. Now, this slide here really starts to build out on that diversified revenue model and talk about their core plus division. So you can see at the surface, you guys, a lot of these crypto focused companies are really talking about the Bitcoin mining activity. That's the tip of the iceberg. DMG is actually part of the Bitcoin Mining Council alongside with Hive, Hut 8, and Bitfarms. So I thought that was super interesting as these are two of the biggest companies that I invest in the crypto space, being Hut 8 and Bitfarms, which have also been on a tremendous run over the last couple of months. But then below the surface, there's all this other supporting activity that really creates value for the blockchain ecosystem. So that's going to include Bitcoin pools, which we just talked about, or mining coalitions, the on-chain analytics, the custody, exchange, instant payments, real-time settlements, and brokerage of these crypto assets. So that's going to include companies like Bosonic, Coinbase, which probably most of you are familiar with, Fidelity, and we're starting to see a lot of these big investment banks really get involved in some of these supporting transaction or processing type of activities as we see that wide-scale adoption of cryptocurrency starting to become more prevalent. Now, in terms of the monetization strategy, obviously the Bitcoin mining or the above surface activity is extremely profitable, even at a $20,000 per Bitcoin rate. They're looking in excess of about $330,000 worth of Bitcoin being created throughout 2022. And then below the surface here with some of these additional revenue opportunities, you guys, or Bitcoin transaction opportunities, Terra Pool is one you're going to see come up a number of times in this presentation. This is actually a partnership with Argo blockchain, and they're looking to create a new mining pool. They're targeting 10% of the network share. And really the claim to fame here is a carbon neutral Bitcoin marketplace to create economic incentives for companies looking to partake in this market. Now, in addition to that, DMG is looking to license their technology to pool members to create stickiness and really help people succeed and stay present in that pool activity. Now, in return, any Bitcoin that's mined within the Terra pool is going to receive a 1+% target net fee on each Bitcoin that's created. So that's going to lead to recurring revenue for the members, or the founding members, I should say, of Terra Pool, which are DMG and Argo blockchain. And then you'll also see the non-Terra Pool created Bitcoin. So again, there's going to be fees associated for Bitcoin moving through the Terra Pool via what's known as the Petra technology. And Petra technology essentially enables companies to transact using that carbon neutral Bitcoin marketplace. So again, very desirable for companies or investors that are trying to live into that ESG mandate and really concerned with the environmental impact of Bitcoin mining and the associated carbon footprint of that activity. So I thought that was definitely a key differentiator for DMG blockchain solutions. Again, not only focused on the Bitcoin mining or surface level activity, but a lot of this below the surface supporting infrastructure that can really drive a lot of recurring revenue down the road. And again, we're going to talk about the timelines and some of the shift of focus towards the end of the presentation as we move into some of the more recent news articles. And this slide here really talks about some of the key points for these software platforms being security and safety. So removing risk from a lot of these exchanges. Obviously, we've seen the downside of that with some of the big newsworthy FTX and BlockFi crashes over the last couple of months. And then the regulatory and compliance side of things, focused on the mining pools, the wallet score, the Petra technology, and in the footnotes below you can see some of the details there. So DMG and Marathon have partnered into that licensing agreement to form what's known as the Mara pool, and then DMG and Argo blockchain, which we just talked about, entered into that memorandum of understanding to create the Terra pool with some of the benefits of the carbon neutral activity. And I would really say that's another point of differentiation here, is some of those key relationships and partnerships within the crypto mining community. Now, the last thing I wanted to leave you with from the investor presentation before we move into that recent news article is really a look at the financials over the last couple of quarters here. So this dates back to the middle of last year. You can see Q1 of 2022, Q2 of 2022, and then Q3 of 2022. So the better half of last year's activity. Now, top line revenue did decline through the year as we saw the price of Bitcoin deteriorate and drop month over month. That in turn had an impact on operating margins. So you can see a high of about 71% operating margins in Q1 of last year compared to only 52% in Q3. Again, standard for the industry as you're seeing the price of that underlying commodity drop. However, what's encouraging here is the actual number of Bitcoin being mined did increase quarter over quarter, hitting a high of 212 in Q3, again about 100 of which came in December. And the Bitcoin reserve as well is now sitting close to an all-time high at 416 Bitcoin. So although this is a small cap or micro cap company, they do have a good reserve of Bitcoin, and they're producing hundreds of Bitcoin each and every quarter, giving them a total cash and crypto balance of about $12 million with zero debt on the books. And you can see that's been consistent over the last 9 months. And that's a key for me, especially in times of bear markets like this, where a lot of companies are struggling to pay off debt, to refinance or restructure their interest. That's one variable that you do not need to worry about with DMG because they're 100% debt free. So now that we've got a good understanding of what DMG Blockchain Solutions is all about, their diversified revenue streams, their core base of operations in Christina Lake, I wanted to move into this article which came out January 6th, talking about their year in review and their December mining results. So you can see for the month of December, they mined just under 105 Bitcoin, exiting the month at 0.91 exahash per second, which we talked about a little bit earlier in the presentation. Their Bitcoin balance based on the December activity was at 454 Bitcoin, so an all-time high over the last 3 quarters. And management calls out that 2022 was an important and transitionary year as DMG focused on becoming a full-fledged self-miner and is much better positioned for the long term, again with zero debt. Now they then go on to talk about that core strategy, so the increasing hash rate and some of the new mining rigs that they're installing, along with that immersion cooling technology that's expected to achieve up to a 40% hash rate increase throughout calendar 2023. Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier, we were going to talk about some of the changing timelines associated with that capacity improvement. You can see the initial estimate was for mid-calendar 2023 to really implement a lot of this new technology. However, they have pushed that back. They cite 2 reasons here. So they're slowing their rate of spending given the current bear market environment. This is really something we've seen with a lot of these companies, specifically the small cap ones that are focused on this balance sheet first approach. And secondly, they're going to be performing more extensive testing before they're committing to large-scale conversions at this facility. So both of these I think are smart. However, it does make sense to really prepare in the slower times if possible, meaning I would like to see some of this activity take place during the slower bear market period so that if and when Bitcoin does rebound, as we're starting to see here in the back half of January, DMG would be in a great position to put their foot on the gas and really reap a lot of those benefits. However, that being said, I wouldn't do that at the expense of diluting shareholders or taking on additional debt, because no one knows how long this bear market can really last. So with that being said, they've actually deferred that goal of 2 exahash per second beyond the end of calendar 2023 and may actually end up landing in 2024. And that's really what they talk about in this paragraph here. Unlike other miners that have taken on extensive debt and are restructuring, DMG has added only $1 million of debt, so they have taken on debt since December's report. However, at this point, they've limited that to only $1 million. They do say they may consider raising modest amounts of additional debt, which would focus on accelerating the deployment of that immersion cooling infrastructure. However, that's still up for debate. And at this point, you guys, considering the market cap in excess of $50 million, $1 million of debt is not the end of the world and does position them very favorably for this bear market condition. Now their Core Plus strategy, you can see they talk about the Terra Pool hash rate here, some of the key objectives, so growing to reach 10% network share, which we talked about, that carbon neutral Bitcoin marketplace, and the third point really being able to actively transact Bitcoin in a carbon neutral manner through the Terra Pool using their Petra technology, which we looked at. And if they're able to achieve these 3 core KPIs or objectives, that's really going to increase that Core Plus revenue to be significantly larger over the long term for DMG. Now, the other piece I thought was interesting here, they specifically call out the FTX situation. We expect more regulation and oversight in North America post FTX, assuming miners are not incorrectly classified as money service businesses or forced to perform know your customer checks on a broadcasted transaction. We believe DMG should be a net beneficiary from increased regulation. And I know we've talked about this with Sue Ennis from Hut 8 Mining and how she feels the regulatory environment in North America may shift over the next couple of years. This is definitely a key focal point, and it's good to see that DMG has this on their radar and feels like regulation will actually benefit or lead to future opportunities for this organization. And then finally, I just wanted to call out, if you want more information on Terra Pool here, again, it's the crypto mining platform that's operated through the Blocksteer software company and looking to be the world's first Bitcoin mining pool focused on clean energy. You can go to terrapool.io, take a read for yourself, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, if you're still watching the video, hopefully you found some value, so make sure you hit the like button, you guys. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on DMG, if you're currently holding shares, and how you think they stack up to some of the other miners we cover on the channel. If you're not currently subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next update.